Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. Welcome to my weekly program known as Know Your Budget. This program is usually brought to you by Global Coalition for Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, and is usually hosted by my humble self, Miss Faith Yasa. And it's every Wednesday, Monday by 3 p.m. Nigerian time. Today, we will be discussing some interesting topic, and I believe you will tidying up your seatbelts and join me in my studio as we go through this program. Today, we'll be talking about Asuu versus federal government. Someone asking that the federal government is not being able to provide. And today, I have some guests in my studio. I'm going to introduce to you. Please join me in to welcome a legal practitioner, the CEO of a newspaper, transmitter newspaper, in person of Mr. Joseph Temdo Bayo. Sir, please, you are welcome to my studio.
Yeah, thank you very much for having.
Yes. We are waiting for another guest, but as soon as the person comes in, we are going to introduce to you the person and we will continue from there. I think my guest is trying to join and we're going to add him up soon. And let me introduce you to my third guest here, Mr. Joseph Ahundu. Sir, please, you are welcome. Mr. Joseph Ahundu
Thank,
is a historian, a student, and I think having Mr. Joseph and Barrister Joseph Bayon in the studio, we'll be having a very good discussion. Mr. Ahundu, please, you are welcome.
thank you.
Yes. Um, Before we proceed, let me ask. There has been a strike over the year, over some months now, by the all public universities, and we learned that the ASU is asking the federal government to pay some money to be able to meet up with their university demands before they could resume. Mr. Bagyo, I want to ask. This question goes to you. How much is the ASU asking the federal government to pay before they could be able to reopen the universities? And if they are asking us to federal government to pay this money, what is the guarantee that this money will be used for the purpose that the ASUs are asking for?
Thank you once again. You and I know that the ASU federal government issue had lingered on now for some time. This issue
Yes.
predated the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Um,
Yes.
you will recall that sometime in 2009, ASU and federal government entered into a contract which they called the needs agreement. And in that
Yes.
agreement it was agreed that a certain amount of money within the range of 200 billion naira, 300 billion will be released to ASU in sequence,
Yes.
and this money was supposed to take care of some of the demands of ASU as regards their earn allowances, some of their emoluments and all of that, as well
Yes.
as the federal government taking the issue of tertiary institution, the upgrading of tertiary institution as a matter of priority. Unfortunately, uh, while that administration went,
Yes.
while that administration came and I mean came and gone, uh, this present administration came on board, and again, ASU and the federal government are on it again. Now, one will begin to question in a global based on the current global trend, where
Yes.
it is expected that every country is supposed to take issues of education as a matter of priority, where at least by the United Nations standard, each government is supposed to invest at least 27% of their budget on education. Unfortunately, we are not seeing that in Nigeria. Asuu have been on strike for the past 90 days, and there has been extension. It's quite
Yeah,
unfortunate that
very unfortunate.
a country that is flowing with milk and honey will not take the welfare of her citizens as a matter of priority. The social contract between the government and the people is not fulfilled in line with the fundamental objective and direct principles of state policies as contained in Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes.
How much is a token of 200 billion or 300 billion, even 500 billion, if you ask me? What these people spend on medical trips, on political
Yes.
activity.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are seeing this quagmire. It's quite unfortunate.
It's actually very unfortunate. I quite agree with you. Compared to what they've spent for their medical trips, even their parking space, 200 billion.
I can
It
barely
is,
hear you.
sir. Yes, very a quick one. Let me come to you, Mr. Joseph Aundo. Yes, as a student and as a
Did you
historian,
unmute? Did you mute your mic? I
uh,
can I can I
you
can't
are a
hear
master
you.
student. You have been in the
I can't hear
university
you.
for over some years, and if I will ask, what are the economic effects you feel that this strike has brought to the students and to the society? What do you think? Do you think the society is losing something? Do you think it's having effect on the students? And if so, what do you think about this?
Okay, thank you very much the opportunity, Miss Faith.
I can't hear you.
The
Please increase your volume, Mr. Joseph.
okay.
Yeah.
Your
I,
mic is not clear. I can barely hear you.
That your microphone is not clear, that you should increase your voice.
okay. Are you hearing me now?
It's better.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Faith, for the opportunity to interact on this very sensitive issue that has been bothering the Nigerian society. This strike issue started some time ago, but I think in our contemporary times, it is rather increasing and bringing more problems and challenges to the society.
Yeah.
Uh, like you mentioned earlier, there are so many challenges, economic challenges, societal vices challenges, and so many other challenges as strike in Nigerian universities, tertiary institutions, has brought to the society.
Yeah.
Economically, you know that in a university system, if you go to any university, you discover there are always businesses or campuses where many people live and trade to earn a living.
Yeah.
But since the universities are being shut down, all those people are going through economic meltdown, and it's not be easy with many of the families.
Yeah.
Then the students, most students, they live under their parents, you know, in Benue, like in Benue State and other states in the country, most of our parents are civil servants. And if you come to
Yes.
Nigeria, civil servants are the
The network is frustrating. Okay. Can you hear me? Mr. Joseph, can you hear me? Hello, Barrister Bagyo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
I
can
think he's
barely
having
hear you, Faith.
Yes, I think he's having some network issues, and I think we should
Pardon?
continue. When he returns, he can start up from where he stopped. Right. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, Barrister
I
Joseph.
can
Can you hear
barely
me?
hear you. I'm not. I don't know whether it's my network or.
Okay. So you are not hearing me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
I don't know what I will do, but I think I'm fine here because my speaker is not muted. So if you can hear me in a little, I just want to ask you questions so that we proceed. So yeah, we are talking about Asuu. Why has the federal government not been able to meet up with the Asuu demand? And the question is why? Secondly, do you think this money is there? Do you think this money that the federal government, the Asuu is asking the federal government to pay is there? Right? Do you think this money the federal government, the Asuu is asking the federal government, do you think the money is there? Barrister Bayo, can you hear me? I think I have some network issues here. Let me see. Okay. So we are talking about Asuu versus federal government. You know, when you compare the rate of the capital expenditure in Nigeria, a president travel abroad spending millions of naira for a medical trip, right? And returning back home yeah, Barrister Bayo, you are back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I can hear you better now.
Very good. I was trying to ask, do you think
Yes.
this money the ASU is asking for, are you sure the
Yeah.
money is there? Because if this money is there, why has ASU, federal government, not been able to pay from the day the strike started?
Well, if the federal government is saying they have no money, I think that would be unfair to Nigerians, and that would be unfair to the global community who are watching us and are listening to us. And you will recall that as at the last federal allocation and fiscal commission revenue sharing, over 700 billion naira was shared among the three tiers of government. So the government has not stopped collecting taxes from the people. The government has not stopped the sale of petroleum products. The government has equally not stopped collecting earnings from other mineral resources and all of that, including donations and grants coming from international community. So how much is ASU asking, and how much does the federal government share every month? This leaves a lot of questions unanswered. So to say that the money is not there will not be fair. But I think those who are in charge, that is talking about the Minister of Labor and Productivity, the Minister of Education, and all the key actors involved in the negotiation table of involved in the negotiation issue between ASU and federal government. I think they are not being too fair to Nigeria. I'm not seeing that spirit of patriotism. I'm not seeing that spirit of commitment. I'm not seeing that spirit of willingness. I'm not seeing the political will to solve the issue. So, and like I said in my opening statement, how much is being expended on purchase of political parties nomination form and expression of interest form? Only APC alone have sold presidential form to about 25 candidates. That is about 2.5 billion. Meanwhile, how much is ASU asking for? 2.5 billion naira can solve a lot of problems in the health sector, in the education sector, and any of the sector. So I think the lack of political willpower and the commitment, the demonstration of commitment to the education need of this country is not being well attended to. So to say the money is not there I don't want to believe that. Though there is no official statement to that effect that there is no money there. But I think it's the absence of the political willpower and the non-commitment to the educational need of the country is why we are still in this quagmire.
Okay, that's a very good one. I really appreciate you, Mr. Joseph Bayo. And I think Mr. Joseph is trying to join us, right? Mr. Joseph, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Please, you were saying something and we lost you along the line. So can you continue where you were talking about? Hello? Mr. Joseph, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Okay, fine. It's like we are not being able to get Mr. Ahund very clearly. It's like his network is having some issues where he's in his location. But I think we can proceed. You know, Mr.
All right.
Bagyo, there have been this question that have been bothering so many Nigerians. Vice chancellors of universities
Yes.
have been tempting to ask, when monies are allocated to the states through Ministry of Education, when the revenues of a university is being generated, you could agree with me that sometimes when you go to a university, you enter into an office of a lecturer one, right? You could see that all his office equipment are spoiled. Fans are no longer working. Cupboard chairs they are sitting on. Do you think the vice chancellors of our universities? You know why I'm asking this question is I learned that there are still ghost workers in universities. I was discussing with someone, a lecturer in a university, and he confirmed to me that IPPIS sent a list when the minimum wage was increased for the university to sign, confirm their details. And the university told that there were almost 600 people that 160 people that were not staff of that university, but they were on the list. And do you know that the university refused to sign those documents, and they asked to say the IPPSA said they were not ready. These people have to sign so that their money can be paid, right? So my question is, do you think the vice chancellors of the university, in some way or the other, not embezzling the funds that are supposed to be used for the university project, in other words?
Well, the issue of corruption in Nigeria and Africa in general is not peculiar or is not particularistic only to the university alone. It's a general issue across the country. It's a general issue across Africa. So I will not be surprised to find out or to discover that there are ghost workers within the university system. So I won't be surprised at all. But I think, to be fair to Nigerians, to be fair to the citizens, to the taxpayers of this country, I think it is very important that we should begin to do these things in the right and proper manner. So if IPPS will sanitize the system, I don't see why the vice chancellor should not cooperate with the federal government on that. But just very recently, day before yesterday, 2 days ago, you recall that the president of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari, gave directive that both IPPS and the system, the payment system developed by Asuu, should be audited or perhaps be scrutinized by the Nigerian Information and Technology Agency for purpose of authenticating the process. So the universities in Nigeria are not autonomous. They still depend largely on government for funding and for other support. So it won't be a surprise to enter a lecturer's office and discover lizard and cockroaches roaming here and there. It's not a
Yeah.
surprise thing at all. So
Yeah.
the even in the university, within the university system, some of the vice chancellors are also guilty of corruption because the subvention sent to some of the vice chancellors from the government, how well is it being utilized? You know, so how is the status of an average vice chancellor in the country? So most of them are now seen as appendages of political compensations, and they are run like political offices. It's quite unfortunate, and that is why we have these issues dwindling. So the issue of merit is being the cutting of merit is being lowered down, and above other interests like favoritisms, tribalism, and all of that. So these are the problems we're having within our system. So
Mm.
that is why even people are now saying that, okay, even if this money comes to ASU, how well would they utilize it? So seeing that there are ghost workers in our university system wouldn't be a surprise. Seeing that the infrastructural status of universities are in state of dilapidation will not also be a surprise, because most often there is gross underutilization of resources in some of our universities.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Joseph Bagel. You have really done so much justice to this, some of these things. And I am so happy that Nigerians are watching us, both win and outside the country, and are seeing the way you're analyzing it. And I hope so much that Nigerian government do something quickly. And Mr. Joseph Ahundu, are you back? Are you back, please? Okay, it's like he's having some network issue wheresoever he is.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think so.
Mr. Bagel, while you were talking, there was a question that pumped into my heart. You mentioned that IPPIS is actually come to help the ASU and the university system get let me say the federal government get some of the fund issues done and properly. But also, do you know that I learned that the IPPIS is actually compounding issues, because the list that was sent to the universities, lecturers, and staffs to sign their names, when the university refused to sign, it was actually the IPPIS that said they are not ready for their payments. IPPIS brought a list that consists of over 100 and something ghost workers. And when the university refused to sign, they said they are not ready for their payments. Do you think IPPIS is actually here to help the federal government, or is another corrupt part of the entire system that has been carved out?
Yeah, don't forget that before now, the federal government has used the IPPS as a payment platform for some of their federal, some of the federal civil servants,
Yes.
and they also intend to also replicate that with ASU, and that is where the dichotomy lies. That is where the problem lies. ASU said no. We as educational institution, or ASU are representing an educational institution or educational institutions in the country, has also developed their own platform that will checkmate some of these SSs they are complaining about against IPPS, because there have been issues of withholding of salaries, there have been issues of unnecessary deduction and all of that. And you expect ASU not to complain? You expect somebody who is working to just sit back and watch that how his wages or his emoluments are being pilfered away and all of that? So the insistence of federal government, or the federal government team insisting and compelling ASU to follow IPPS, when ASU is saying that, look, we have developed our own platform, and this platform, we have screened it, we have audited it, we have adjudged it to be the best for you. Can you adopt it? So if the federal government at that point had issues with it, it is perhaps to subject it to some form of scrutiny, which they have not done up till now. And until 2 days ago, when President Muhammadu Buhari gave instructions to that effect, that the National Information and Technology Agency should, as a matter of fact, audit that process. So those are the issues. So why can't the federal government agree with ASU to say, look, we have to work in unison for the interest of Nigerians? Now, for almost 90 days, students are being kept away, and that does not bother anybody. I mean, the welfare of an average lecturer in this country is nothing to write home about. Countries like Botswana, countries like Namibia, which are list of the least countries in Africa, are taking care of, are placing issues of education as a priority. If you look at the global ranking of the regional ranking of universities in Africa, the first 10, Nigeria is not even involved. You know, the 1,000, University of Ibadan was ranked 1,700. You can imagine the backwardness. You know, even in Africa, we cannot compete with countries like Seychelles. We cannot compete with island countries like Mauritius. We cannot compete with countries like Namibia. We cannot compete with countries like Botswana as far as education is concerned. I won't even talk of Egypt. I won't even talk of Algeria. I won't even talk of Tunisia. You know, so this should be things. This should have been things that should have concerned us as a people and as citizens of Nigeria, not this politics of blame game here and there that we are playing.
Okay, sorry, I'm back again. My network just tripped off.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. That it's quite unfortunate that 21st century Nigeria is still talking about welfare of teachers when countries like Botswana, Namibia, Algeria, Tunisia are going far. Nigeria is not even ranked among the first 9, the first 10 in Africa in terms of education. You know, so if small countries like Seychelles, small countries like Mauritius, small countries like Namibia are taking issues of education as a matter of priority, how much more? Nigeria cannot even be compared with countries like Egypt, countries like Algeria, and even South Africa. But we have resources to take care of this. How much is ASU asking for? How many universities do we have in Nigeria? It's a small thing. It's just the lack of political willpower, the commitment to do things right, because these people know that at the end of the day, they will send their children abroad. So they're not even bothered, you know. So these are the issues. So it's the lack of willpower and the lack of commitment to one's nation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bagyo. You are actually doing justice to this. It's lack of political will. I actually agree with you 100%. I think we are gradually coming to the end of this program. But Mr. Ahundu Joseph, are you there? Okay, it's like we are not able to hear from Joseph Ahundu, sir. Let me end it all together with you. What will be your message? First of all, if these monies are not paid, what do you think is the hope of these Nigerian students? That's number one. Then number two, what will be your message for Nigerians? First
Well,
of all,
I think
the monies are not paid.
I think President Muhammadu Buhari has taken a step towards that direction. We'll sit back and watch and see how his intervention will be. But it's quite unfortunate that issues of education is not taken as a priority in this country, when globally, across the world, we all know that the bedrock of any development of any nation is education. You know, As at yesterday, I mean last week, the UNICEF released a report, a very appalling report, where they said there are about 18 million children out of school. This should worry anybody with common sense, you know. So when are we going to start taking issues of education serious? And I think I call on the government, I call on well-meaning Nigerians to begin to look deep into the issue of education, and more so, let's demonstrate patriotism, let's demonstrate commitment to leadership. That is the most important thing. These are above our personal interests, like what we see in this country. Nigeria is a great country. Nigeria is a blessed country. It's just bad leadership. I mean, we shouldn't be thinking of leaving this country to go and school anywhere if things are working right. So, but it's quite unfortunate that people take what they don't even need, you know, and they don't set priorities to the right things. So it's quite unfortunate. We hope to get it right some days. And I want to thank African Pace Setter for the opportunity given to air my view to the global community. And I look forward to giving my engagement, to making more contributions and offering my commitment to
Mr. Peter, you are absolutely very welcome to this program.
Thank
And
you very much.
I'm so sorry that my screen has to change. My topic is know your budget. Sorry, it's like I put on my hand on something and something came up. This is my topic showing you on the screen, the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy. So here is know your budget, and we're talking about how much asking that the federal government not being able to support. Justice to this. I want to appreciate you coming here. And please keep on watching Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. My topic is know your budget. It's every Monday by 3 p.m. Nigerian time. I sincerely welcome you to this program, and please, as you go by, may the good Lord goes with you. At this point, we draw the curtain for the closing of this project. Thank you so much as you continue watching us.